goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you guys are using those discount codes at checkout. And if you haven't realized, the Adidas Wrestling discount code has updated to QP20. Anyone that follows Kevin on Twitter definitely knows that. He's letting everybody know. We love it. Good to be back with Robbie, Austin, and Kevin. I'm Holmes. We appreciate you guys listening to episode 70. This is the Dallas Mavericks Dennis Rodman episode. If you go deep enough into the rabbit hole, you will find that he wore a number for basically every different team that he was with. And 70 was the number that he wore with the Mavericks. He also wore 69 too, which we just found out before coming on here. But this is the Dennis Rodman episode. And before we get to any of the wrestling talk, we always weigh in. And for my weigh in, I am going to shout out my new fiance who said yes to me last weekend. So I proposed. She said yes. Biggest shout out that I can probably give is to her, as well as to the like luxury campground treehouse type of thing that we went to an hour away that helped set up the entire thing, from wine, chocolates, rose petals, all the whole shebang. So shout out to her. She's a glutton for punishment, apparently, because she said yes to this guy. Austin, on to you.
Congrats, Holmes. Big step of your life. Proud of it.
Yeah,
Proud of you, buddy.
congrats.
It's awesome. I'll shout out two quick things here. Local wrestling club in the Lehigh Valley, the Matt Return Wrestling Club. It's an adult wrestling club. They have their fall classic this year, October 3rd and 4th. They're expanding it to folk style for adult, men's, women's, and there is a novice for people that had never really wrestled before. So really cool event. I was there, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and Ethan Lezak was in attendance and, as you can imagine, smashing everybody. So every once in a while you get some good wrestlers like that there. It's fun to you can see guys not step on the mat for a while. Their kids are getting into it. They're back coaching the little ones, so they want to go back on the mat like old time's sake. And there's a lot of oxygen tanks there, a lot of ice bags, a lot of trainers there, as you can imagine. But a fun event. So I'll post that up in my Twitter feed if anyone wants to get in touch with those guys and see where it's at. It's in Whitehall, PA this year, right smack dab Lehigh Valley, hometown.
You wrestling in it?
Definitely not wrestling in it now. I think I'm going to stay with
Well, Zach, I'll wrestle him if he's in.
I may show up in attendance if I'm free that weekend. Maybe bring the little guy with me just to show him the ropes a little bit. But it looks like a cool event there. Did want to also shout out Scotty Sentes and his group at Wrestlers in Business Network. They have a virtual fair October 1st. So that he's all over that with social media. It's supposed to be the world's largest wrestling virtual career fair. So if anyone's looking to make some connections, looking for new jobs, or just seeing what's out there with former wrestlers, it's probably a good event to sign up for and get in touch with Scotty and, going down that networking and networking train there. And last thing I got is came across my timeline, I think yesterday or today, Max Brignola, former Lehigh wrestling standout, ran a 12 this year, is now on staff at Princeton. So Anthony Ashnault left an opening. And as you guys know, school is starting. Start scrambling to find a coach is hard. So Max Brignola, a New Jersey native there, hopping on the train at Princeton on the coaching staff. So congrats to him. That's awesome. And I think Coach Dubuque and company got a good one there.
Awesome. Robbie, on to you.
With that career fair too, or the job fair with Scotty, current college guys, there'll be a lot of internship opportunities. So some really good networking opportunities there. Definitely something to look out for. I'm going to give a shout out to Steve Garland for 2 reasons. One, because he got me a new crypto guy, and I'm really excited that I can buy a G-Wagon now. Yeah. Steve Garland, big G-Wagon guy, if anybody knows him. Traded the Camry in, and now he's driving a G-Wagon. So
as one does.
As one does. No, but really, he did a tour. I don't know. I think it's just on their Facebook page. So you can look up UVA's Facebook, wrestling Facebook page. I didn't see it on their Twitter, their Instagram, but he did a tour of Mem Gym, the where they're at with renovations. and kind of shows you a little bit behind the scenes of how large of a renovation it actually is, and how much they've done to 100-plus-year-old building to bring it up to code and to be what they need, and showing the layout of the new facility and all the things it's offering the student athletes. It's going to be a pretty awesome facility when it opens. He gave me a potential date for opening. I'm not going to share that, but it won't be in the first semester. Hopefully they'll be for ACC season, they'll be back in Mem Gym. So looking forward to that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Been a minute.
Garland gives a really good tour.
And he hugs a sauna that is clearly only for RTC use.
I mean, obviously.
Asks. Yeah. I mean, it says RTC only on the studs that it's underneath the cedar, I think.
This is G-Wagon fit inside the sauna.
That's a great question. I think it's on the second floor, and they did make the staircase bigger, but I'm not sure if it's that big.
Tough.
Very tough. No, he gave us a tour.
There right now, though, so there's a chance.
We did this is when I was still with Flo. We did that Final X road trip, and we stopped at Virginia. I think it was Spay and I, and he gave us a tour of like their gym, and I think it was like right after. I think it was the year after they had their basketball team had won the national championship.
So that was
so he was telling us, yeah. So that was
nice room.
That was a really nice room that they had. And then he was showing me like their gym and how like basketball has like something underneath the basketball court where their locker room is and all kinds of stuff. But I mean, very cool campus. The English nerd in me
you
was
have to call it grounds.
The grounds. Yeah, correct. The grounds. Sorry.
But
the English nerd in me was very excited about the Edgar Allan Poe part of it. It was really cool. So it was awesome to see. But yeah, looking forward to seeing how it turns out when they can open that back up, hopefully in the second semester. Claunch, on to you.
I am going to shout out. Well, first of all, I rocked my SpeedX Ultras today at wrestling practice at Cornerstone, and I love these shoes. QP20, try them out. Also, I'm wearing all my Fire Up Chips Central Michigan gear. I'm very excited. I wanted to shout out my friend Adam Jaxa. He calls like all of the duels for the Central Michigan wrestling team. He does a lot of the social media and interviews for the football team. He's basically the voice of Central Michigan. So he also does like Lansing Lugnuts games. But he's been posting I think since at least 50 days away from football season starting, he's like found a number that relates to how many days are left, and he's been posting something, and it's just gotten me super pumped up for football. And football season is right before wrestling season, so we're like basically like in the heat of the season right now, guys. So pretty fired up.
Launches in heat.
I am in heat. It's a good thing we're past 69 here.
Good thing. Good thing.
So
I'm excited for football season too. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Costco's got an interview coming out with Jesse Mendez tomorrow. I just sent him a message asking a question about it. So look out for that one. That'll be a good interview.
I thought you said Costco. I was like, why are they interviewing wrestlers? And it was like,
he's got a hot dog sponsorship.
Yeah. Jesse Mendez bumping up to 157. And a lot of pizza.
Awesome. All right, let's get to our first topic, and we're going to start with RAF. I think normally we end the show with RAF talk. We're going to start because the one and only Jordan Ernest Burroughs is making a return to the mat. He's wrestling Sean Brady, guy I know basically nothing about, but he's back, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks, honestly. This entire card is pretty good. I mean, it is wild that Burroughs is the co-main event, not the main event, but I think we said this on like a previous show that we think that like the Cejudo Merab match was promised as a main event, maybe. I could see that happening where before they had Burroughs set to be on this card, it was like, all right, we're going to have Cejudo Merab 2 and we'll make it the main event. And they told him it was main event and they pushed it as main event. And then Burroughs was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And now we've got him as the co-main event. But his card is really good. Bo Nickel, Max McAnally, which I think is going to be awesome. Tyron Woodley, and Buckley are wrestling. Another rematch between Wick and Nolf. Kinji Gishvili and Jesse Mendez, who you just mentioned. David Carr and Sokol Zanov are going to be wrestling. And then Kennedy Blades has a match.
Ono and Davino.
What's that?
Ono and Davino. That'll be a great one.
Ono and Davino is going to be really good too. Did I skip that one? No, I think it's just at the bottom. Yeah, it's at the bottom.
How dare you
Ono
not
and
say
Davino.
Will Lewan first? You talked about Jordan
This is
Burroughs
true.
before you talked
He
about
does
Will
score
Lewan.
points now. He does score points now too.
But he's wrestling a guy with one name, so will he score any points this match?
Yeah.
Or his last name doesn't fit on this formatting. It's just listed as Kadik.
Gable Stevenson, Anthony Cassiope also on this card too. What matches are you guys liking? There's, like I said, there's a ton of very good matches, and I feel like this is kind of the card that, and we said this about the Russia card, the Georgia card, that like that's what we were hoping they would be doing, right? Is like pulling in very good matches. Obviously, Tyron Woodley hasn't wrestled in, oh man, how many years? I think he posted the other day that this is the first time he put his Missouri singlet back on since like 2010.
That's
so like
dry rotting.
Crazy. And he posted a picture of him in the singlet. But I think this is going to be awesome. Obviously, looking forward to Burroughs, but the match I'm most looking forward to is Bo Nickel versus Max McAnally. Completely honest about that one. Robbie, your thoughts on this card? Who are you looking forward to seeing?
There's some great matches put here. I think it'd be remiss not to mention also newly engaged Johnny DeJulius is on this card as well. So he's always fun to watch. I think the McAnally Nickel match is high on my list of ones that I'm interested in. Austin and I were talking about it before you guys jumped on, and my thought is McAnally is in a better spot training for wrestling specifically, and I think that gives him a bit of an edge. But we know how good Nickel is, and that he is always a threat whenever he steps on the mat. So I think that'll be a really fun match. There's been some talk back and forth with that one, so I think that adds to it. So that one I'm really looking forward to. David Carr, Solkozanov, I think would be a great match. And then Ono and Davino really has my interest peaked. There's been a lot of chatter about Ono in the last few weeks. And is he going to be the starter? What's that going to look like for Penn State? What is he going to look like as a folk style wrestler? Clearly, we're not going to see his folk style skills here because it's a freestyle event. But we know what level of wrestler he's at. We haven't really seen him compete since he got to State College. So this will be an interesting kind of peek behind the scenes of where he's at. And we know how good Davino is. So it's going to give us a kind of a good gauge of where he's at right now.
Yeah, I agree with Ono with you, Robbie. I think it's a perfect gauge with Davino there because he's kind of in that mix with Seidel, Blaze, and Forrest. And if Ono just comes and torches Davino, like, whoa, look out, this guy's really good. He's worth the hype. But even if he's in there in the mix and loses by a point or two to Davino, like, okay, Davino also beat Jax Forrest this year, right? So it's just going to add a lot more depth to that kind of weight class there, and should be fun. I haven't seen him wrestle in a while, and I'm really excited for that one. Always fun to see Gable on the mat as well. And then, like you said, DeJulius recently engaged. We'll see where he's at there, but always fun to watch him. Kenny Blades is fun. I agree. Overall, really good card. But yeah, McAnally, Nickel, all those guys were going back and forth on X a little bit, and I'm glad this one finally got arranged to let them wrestle. And I think McAnally's kind of out for blood with that one. I think there's a big anti-Penn State bias right now with everyone in the NCAA pretty much chasing those guys. And I think McAnally kind of falls on that after, losing to Carter Strachey a few times. And I think it's a little bit of revenge tour for him a little bit, right?
Probably. Launch your thoughts?
My thoughts are that this Burroughs match might be getting rushed a little bit. I feel like Sean Brady should probably wrestle in that novice division that the tournament that
thinking
Austin
the
was
same
referencing.
Yeah.
Give him
Might
a
be
chance to
better start than
get his hands on somebody who also has never wrestled before wrestling Jordan
electrician
Burroughs.
or something.
Anybody really at this point, a child. I'd rather watch Jordan Burroughs wrestle one of the kids in his club at this point.
So, yeah.
No, all jokes aside, I think it's good for Brady. He gets an opportunity to get in there and have some fun and see how it goes. Burroughs in his first
He's getting murdered
match.
by Jordan Burroughs.
I mean, most of the world would.
What a first match as a wrestler. That's
right.
What with this guy?
It's like, remember the show Pros vs. Joes?
I loved that.
But
show.
like, if you did that, but instead of like retired athletes, you just did like, hey, tackle Derrick Henry, and he just fucking killed you. Like that's kind of what this is like. But no, Jordan Burroughs. I mean, if you're getting up back on the mat, you're getting some competition. He's going to be wrestling in the next event overseas. Like he's I think doing this the right way. Again, all jokes aside, like I want him to be able to get in, get some good matches, get acclimated to the competition piece and the travel piece of it. And hopefully see him, make another run here in 28. Now, the other matches I wanted to highlight, I mean, we got a couple of championship bouts here, right? So Nolf and Wick, those two have battled before. I feel like Wick beat Nolf earlier in one of these early RAF events.
So that'll be close. I don't know if he beat him though. I think Nolf ended up winning the match, but it was definitely closer than what we expected.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that one. I mean, any of those championship bouts are going to be fun. And again, these guys do take it seriously. Mendez Kinchigashvili. Like that's good. That's a pretty sweet
I love the way you pronounce these names.
How do you pronounce it?
Kinchigashvili.
Kinchigashvili?
Yes.
You don't pronounce any of the letters?
Just
why
like
are we speaking
Petra
so many letters?
Talk to the Georgians. That's their fault.
Vladimir, how about that? Vladimir's wrestling Jesse Mendez, and I'm excited to see ideally a healthy, hungry, angry Jesse Mendez ready to go out there and kick some ass. That's a really good match for him to get right away. Saul Kazanov and David Carr, similarly with Carr, like I want to see, like, are you all right, bro? Like let's see you get out there and get after it and put up some points like we were all used to and excited. So we'll see what version of that of him we have. Kennedy Blades out there. She's probably going to do something sweet. She always does. And yeah, hell yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch Will Lewan wrestle. Why wouldn't I be excited to watch that?
I can give you some reasons.
He has been scoring points in freestyle. He has, and again,
he has.
I maintain that tying up with him must be weird. I was wrestling earlier today, and there was a guy. I kept trying to tie up with him, and he just like bounce away, and I was like, this sucks. Like I already know. I was like, I can't even grab your head. Like I can't grab anything. You just move. So
did you call for stalling?
I backed up. I was like, let me reset here. Maybe my feet aren't planted hard enough in the ground. Yeah, it was one of those things. But that's what I maintain with Will Lewan is that he must be so disorienting to wrestle against because people don't open up, with him. And so I think that that's been the fun thing with freestyle is watching him be able to control center, get some points, get off some attacks. So yeah, I like watching Will Lewan wrestle freestyle.
Yeah, that Mendez match I think is going to be really fun. I'm always reminded whenever I see Kinchigashvili, I'm reminded of what year was that? Worlds 2015 in Vegas. And this was like right when they were implementing you have to weigh in. I think the year after was like, you have to weigh in the singlet that you will compete in because everybody was just basically wearing the smallest singlet they could possibly find to weigh in. And he had on this singlet that the straps were actually tied together on his shoulders. And it was like, they basically cut the lining out of a singlet. Like it was all cut up.
Gosh.
They cut like it was so bad. It was the smallest singlet ever to the point where they literally put the straps back together on his shoulders. And he looked like death standing in line to weigh in. Like they like helped him on the scale. He gets on the scale, he makes weight, and then they basically just like pumped him full of drugs, most likely, to get him not to die. It was like the hardest time I've ever seen anybody try and make weight. It was crazy. So I'm always reminded of that. But I also got to meet him in Georgia at, I think it was Cadet Worlds, maybe a year or two later. Super nice guy. Didn't really speak a lot of English. He knew, a couple of things, but it was really cool to like meet a guy, a world champion like him. So it was pretty awesome. But yeah, I think his match with Jesse Mendez, I think if he was 30-year-old Kinchikishvili, it'd be probably a better match. But I think, Jesse Mendez is just on a kind of a different level now, where I think he wins this match pretty, I wouldn't say handily, but I think, he's in control of it, put it that way.
I am also
Maybe some
excited.
old man tricks, though.
What's that?
You might see some old man tricks from Kinchikishvili.
That's true. That is true. But no, I'm excited for, speaking of old men, Marab and Henry Cejudo running it back. And I was just joking with you guys. It's like he was up 8-0 in that first match and then completely gassed out. It's like, if you're Cejudo, you either have to show up ready to get a tech fall in 1 minute and 30 seconds, or like, at least like you can't gas out. You cannot, he has to be ready. Like, don't do it again, like,
Yeah.
Just go get a tech fall right away and get out of there. But we'll see. We'll see if Marab can gas him out again. He's not going to beat him, with technique. But
That's true. I think it's a very good card. I'm glad they moved that Larry Wheels match off of this card, because it really would have been bad.
I was looking forward to it. I was hoping that would be a co-main event as well.
And I wanted to shout out my buddy Zach, who's going to be there in Cleveland for this event. So
is he wrestling Larry Wheels?
He's wrestling Jordan Burroughs.
Nice.
But Zach actually wrestled in high school, so a little better.
Probably at the same time as Sean Brady. I don't think it would probably make much of a difference on the result.
Not. Yeah.
No, I think this is a good card. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's one of the better ones that they've put together, in my opinion, outside of that Georgia card. And it's really what I wish most of these cards look like. You do have a mix of guys in here that, outside of the Sean Brady's that are in here, I think he's really the only guy in here that doesn't have any wrestling experience, right? Like even the Woodley Buckley match, I'm pretty sure, both those guys are, wrestlers, right? They've been around. Even though Woodley hasn't wrestled in like 20 years, but like very awesome to see him get back on the mat. I don't think it'll be a bad match. Even with, the crossover guys that they are pulling into this one, I think it's going to be awesome. So certainly looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. But yeah, I think Austin, you said it best, like that McAnally versus Nickel match with the trash talk that they had, they did a really good job. Plus, like, I think with McAnally being, who he is right now and Nickel being who he was in wrestling, I think this is a great matchup. And it's one of those like matchups you kind of dream about, right? Like what would that look like if they wrestled at NCAAs? Obviously it's a freestyle match, but like this is the old school. Bo Nickel's not really that old, but like old school versus new school that I think really will resonate with a lot of us, considering we're getting a chance to see how both of these guys pan out throughout their career, because we watched Nickel for how many years and now we're watching McAnally for how many years, and it's a good matchup to make for sure.
Well, I think it's fun too, because if I'm remembering correctly, I think McAnally is more accomplished at this point than Bo was in his career. So like both won a national championship as a sophomore. I think Bo placed second as a freshman because he lost to Miles Martin. But I also know Bo wasn't a world champion at any of those lower age group levels, and Max was. So if you allow me to use the world championship title that he won as part of the resume, then I will, because I know that I think Bo placed 5th once or something like that as like a U20 or whatever the age group is.
Yeah,
I like it too.
Very good resumes.
So I like it too along Holmes' line. They were kind of chirping back and forth. I think RF needs a little bit of that, where guys are actually wrestlers and they're chirping. They're not like MMA fighters saying that, oh, I can beat you in a wrestling match. That's just the one negative thing I saw. If I had to say something negative about it, is like when Chael Sonnen is interviewing these guys at the end, he's like trying to make a match for the next guy, and hey, who do you want to see? Who do you want to wrestle? And our wrestlers, they're always like, whoever's in front of me, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys were chirping. They wanted this match, and they made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we see a little bit more of that, where there is a little bit of a backstory and some back and forth up to the match, where a little bit like UFC, maybe not as dramatized as that in the WWE, but I think it needs a little bit of that backstory and guys kind of chirping at you a little bit.
I want Sean Brady. Bring it on, bitch.
You get whatever's left of him after he wrestles Burroughs.
Cejudo looks constipated in his headshot. It's scary.
He does, yeah. Sean Brady's just gonna have a hole in his chest from a freight train driving straight through it.
Last doubles. Jeez, I don't envy that man. So yeah, that's RAF. Let's stick with freestyle, but let's go to the new world team, Olympic team process. I'm not going to break down every single thing. I think at this point, everybody has probably read a good bit about the new process. Overall, they're just going to be deciding everything in Vegas in April, and that will just be with Olympic weights, and that'll put our Olympic weights in the best possible position to qualify the weights. And anyone who follows knows that in past years, we haven't qualified every single one of the weights across every style in a very long time. So putting us in the best position to do that, I'm all for it, right? So, if it means no final X, which is exactly what's happening in 2027, then like good, right? Like let's call it what it is, right? Final X was created as a way to grow the sport of wrestling and grow fanship and give wrestling a main event feel outside of doing it at the US Open or the World Team Trials, things like that. Like it's designed to give the main event feel. So I can honestly understand why. And I feel like Piles is saying this tongue in cheek a little bit in jest of like, yeah, he obviously hates it. Like Final X was created by Flow and is their biggest event of the year that they have. So I can understand that, right? Like obviously, but I also do think that he understands, and I think he put this out in a video, that like, if this is going to put us in the best possible position, and which I hope more wrestling fans understand, is that if this is going to put us in the best possible position to qualify those weights, to have more of those qualifying points, to get out to more of those qualifying tournaments, this is what we need to do. Because in the past, we haven't been in the best position to do that, right? Like, I think 65 kilograms was like, on the men's side, was like an Achilles heel for us, where we came so close. I mean, JO was 1 point away at the Olympics the 1 year. And, and just like not bringing home medals at 65 and not being able to just like get over that hump. So, I think, and I went back and looked at it the one time that I think like, and it wasn't even 65 kilos, it was 66. Jamil Kelly was like one of the last people to bring home a medal in that like cluster of weight classes. So like it has certainly been a long time, one, that we've qualified every single one of these weights, as I said, but like two, that we've put ourselves in position to qualify all of those weights. And I feel like doing this a year ahead of time is certainly going to allow us to do that. Claunch, what are your thoughts on no Final X in 2027?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about it. I have a lot of questions. I didn't read much about what it means, because in my mind I was like, okay, Like what you can call it whatever you want to call it. We're still going to have a team. We're still going to have people make, I just still called it the World Team Trials or the World Team Finals, whatever, right? Like Twitter is X, but it's definitely still Twitter. So that's what I'm calling it. So like whatever you want to call it, you call it that. But like is it still 2 out of 3 for the finals matches to see who wins it? It's just you go through a regular tournament, the medalists sit in the finals, and then whoever wins the tournament wrestles best 2 out of 3. So it's basically
best 2 out of 3, yeah.
So yeah, okay. I don't
the difference. Yeah, I mean the difference is the difference is that there's no final X essentially, right? There's no big fanfare, there's no build up to it, there's no there's no card essentially that is being put together. It's basically going back to the old style before Final X existed but it's for Olympic weights only.
Okay, that's fine. And then, and I love the idea that it's going to potentially give us more of an opportunity to go get some more points, go qualify these weight classes and put ourselves in a good position. I love the idea behind it, and hopefully it works out in exactly that way. Because I didn't need the fanfare. I didn't need any of that stuff around it. It was excited, and I'm glad the sport has grown to the point where we are. But yeah, ultimately, like, it's what day is it going to be? I'll be watching. Sweet. We're good.
Yeah. The best kind of commentary around it was the video that Helen did. So if anybody hasn't, Helen did a great breakdown, or at least like gave a great reasoning from an athlete perspective on her Instagram. And that was pretty damn perfect as to like, if you're on the fence of being upset that there's no Final X in 2027, go listen to that video. Go watch that video from Helen, because she lays it out pretty damn perfectly, to be honest. And I think it's a good kind of level setter for anyone that was saying, this sucks. I love Final X and I love taking my kid, and he always gets a chance to be up close and personal with so-and-so. And it's a chance for us to see these high level wrestlers up close and personal and be in the mix. And I can't afford to go to Vegas and spend all this time in Vegas, or, all this and all that. I understand that, but like, it's about winning medals, and we need to put ourselves in the best position to do that. And she definitely laid it all out there and put it in a great perspective, from my opinion.
What do the non-Olympic weights do?
That'll happen. IV. Yeah, that'll happen later on. I think, and I haven't seen much about the non-Olympic weights. I've seen more of just the focus on the Olympic weights.
I think they're just going to do kind of what they've done previously and have a non-Olympic world trials, like a separate.
And also, like,
tournament.
What this also does is like the guys and girls that don't make the finals, that aren't able to, say at 65, you've got some people that are like, shit, didn't make the finals there, I'm bumping up to 70, right? Yeah. Like, it changes what the pools look like for those non-Olympic weights at Worlds after that. So I think it's a good opportunity, right? Like, see what, if you can make the Olympic weight and wrestle. You lose, you still have a chance to make the world team that year.
Yeah, I love that, actually, for sure. That's great. But to be clear, this is for next year, correct?
This is for next year, yeah. But it'll put us in position to qualify all the weights for 2028.
I love it. Okay.
So they're effectively trying to put as much onus on it, getting the weights qualified as possible, especially with us hosting the Olympics. So in that vein, I think it's a fantastic idea. Puts us kind of earlier in the process, gives us more flexibility with getting to qualifiers and all that, and having everything set in stone earlier. From a viewing perspective, I loved Final X. It's one of my favorite events that I would go to every year. It's a good setup, easy to follow, kind of in and out pretty quickly. It's not a long drawn out thing, and it was supposed to kind of level the playing field for people who were sitting out versus people who won it in the World Team Trials. So it was the same amount of rest. Everybody's coming in fully rested. So that's the only issue I would take with it is I think it gives it an additional advantage to previous medalists who are sitting out, because now that guy has to fully go through the entire world team trials and then wrestles the finals that same day rather than having it as a separate event. But I mean, that's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Like if you're gonna make that run, then you have the momentum from making that run to go to those finals too. So there's upsides and downsides to it. But just from a viewing perspective, I don't like losing that event because it's an event that I enjoyed. But for a world team process and for Olympic qualifying, I think it's the right move for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like it too, but again, it goes back to, yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with Robbie there. Final X was it is what it was, and it kind of gave a more level playing field. And now these guys are sitting out. Well, one of these guys is likely sitting out while the other guy wrestles all day and has to wrestle a best of 3. So I get that point, but I think my understanding is whoever wins the Olympic spot, the Olympic weight rather, they're intended to go to all these ranking series and get a seed for the Olympics, correct? Too, right? So yeah, that's what that was my thought process too. Which we kind of know who's going to be the guy there. They're going to go wrestle and essentially, quote unquote, earn their seed for the Olympics the following year, which I kind of like because sometimes we send guys to Pan Ams that are like 4th, 5th, 6th on the ladder, and look what happens sometimes. You don't qualify it, right? So I think more emphasis on the ranking series to get a good seed, and from there, I think it does give us better options. But and I do like there was a delayed wrestle offs must be completed by Friday, July 31st. So at least now there's a deadline
this year. We still don't have our team.
There's still a deadline now that this year I think we're still missing a few weights where we don't know who the hell the rep is yet, which we're getting into freaking fall already, which is crazy. But so I like that little caveat added in there as well.
Yeah, and we also I love that deadline, which is perfect. I think it's certainly necessary, but losing Final X, as much as it sucks from a viewership standpoint, it is definitely the right way to go. It is certainly the right way to go. But the thing is we don't know when or if Final X comes back, right? Does it come back in 2029 and 2030? And then, call it 2031, we're back to this process, right? Where Final X is 2 years and then it's gone again, right? So that it allows us to qualify. But the thing to also remember is it doesn't matter who qualifies the weight, right? Anyone could go and qualify the weight. It doesn't mean that they're our rep. It means that we now have a place at the Olympics. So anyone in that weight class for any country can go and qualify the weight, and they come back and they wrestle in the Olympic trials and they lose. Doesn't matter. The weight's qualified by whoever it was, right? So whatever puts us in the best position to do that, make sure we're doing that. And I think that this certainly does it. So I would love to hear anybody who says that this is the wrong way to go about it, outside of, not being upset that we're losing Final X, right? If that's the only thing that you got, that's not really the best reason, right? So but I've seen people that were mad. There was no.
At the end of the day, it's the same as it used to. It's just world team trials when we'll have members and on the team, and it's great. And if they split it up that way to where people who don't win the Olympic spot can go do the non-Olympic weights too, even better, right? Theoretically, put together the best team possible. This is almost how expensive was it to go to Final X? You know what I mean? So I was just talking with somebody the other day, and I was like, God, you know what was awesome? When you could buy all session Big Ten tournament tickets for $75. And now they're $275. And it's I get it. It was a steal back in the day, and I knew it, but that's what my friends and I did. We went to Big Tens every year because it was B- NCAAs, B+ in some years. And we're just going to be done, but yeah, it's crazy how expensive the sport has gotten. And I know it's a good thing to have people go into events and like go into sport and everything, but I just can't imagine it was that much cheaper to go to that than to go to Vegas
And
to watch
Robbie,
the
Well, I
trials.
think you just
I was just saying, am I
kind of
misremembering? Was Final X like kind of down this year attendance wise because it was like on a Friday afternoon, like in
Yeah,
Newark,
'cause-
like people aren't
yeah.
gonna take off work. I mean, they can, but it's maybe it's the scheduling thing. Maybe it's just people just rather sit on the couch and watch it. I don't know.
I think that was more of a venue scheduling and
Yeah.
having access to a larger venue, but not on the weekend and not wanting to pay for that. But like the years they did it in the theater at MSG, like the smaller venue, that was incredible. And they had a long beat the streets. Like that's the kind of opportunity I think that new fans to wrestling, if they can see an event like that, it's really good because when you can consolidate that into a shorter time frame instead of sitting through a 14-hour tournament all day in a casino in Vegas, like that's for the diehards. That's not for new folk. So that's my only negative with it. But I think for the purpose they're doing it, it's 100% the right decision, and hopefully it makes it so we are in a better position come Olympic qualifying time.
There are kids that don't know the process without Final X.
Yeah.
It's been around that long at this point where there are literal kids that are wrestling right now that have never seen the world team or the world team process without Final X. Just wild.
That is wild.
I do love that there are going to be some really good guys that are going to fill in those non-Olympic weights too. Because like you guys said, they're not going to make the Olympic weight, so they're going to go up or go down, whatever it takes. And yeah, I think it's going to expand that pool a little bit more as well. When we're going to see some really good matches. This year there were a few that were like pretty lopsided for the most part. You kind of knew who was going to win. Hopefully, there's a little bit more of equal matches there for more exciting. More stuff on the line then, I guess.
It also means that those Olympic weights are going to be loaded even more just come 2027, right? Because, you're going to have guys that are like, well, if I don't make my Olympic weight, if I don't win the Olympic weight, I'll bump up and, make the world team at a non-Olympic weight. The only thing that sucks about that is that I think, and I have to maybe go back and read this, I could be misconstruing this, but like for the most part, and they said there still will be a last chance qualifier for the Olympic trials, but like for the most part, your field for the Olympic trials is going to be set with like the people that qualify like pretty early on. My only thought that I haven't figured out and haven't really seen much about it is how are they going to handle returning medalists? Because in past years, like returning medalists sat in the finals for Final X, right? Like, is that what's going to happen for the Olympic weights, or are they going to do it the same way that they did for the Olympics, where your returning medalist sat in, I believe, the semis or the quarters? So, I mean, there's two schools of thought there, right? Like it is still the world team trial. So you could have a returning medalist that sits in the finals of the best 2 out of 3, or you could bring them back into the bracket just in a later round where they're in at the quarters or the semis. But I didn't see how that would be handled yet.
Yeah, I don't remember
That's
that
another
either.
interesting piece. What's that?
I don't remember reading that either. Just that
Yeah.
it was all going to be consolidated. So that would be an interesting wrinkle to think about.
Overall, I think it's interesting. I think I think we all agree. Like it's definitely the right move to make. I'm looking forward to seeing one, how it shakes out with the Olympic weights, and then two, how it shakes out with the non-Olympic weights, and who goes up, who goes down, who re-enters, who doesn't re-enter, last chance qualifier. Like I think that the competition is, especially in this next quad, because as we said in prior show, a couple shows ago, after 2028, like the coaching carousel is going to look very interesting with guys that are done competing for this quad. So next year is going to be very, very interesting when it comes to competition, because I even feel like next year we see Burroughs throw his hat back in the ring if he's not retired and not retiring and hasn't announced anything yet. I think maybe we see him at 74, or who knows? He's been away for a long time. 86. No, I'm just kidding. He's not going up to 86. If he does, I will be very surprised. But the conversation I had with him years ago, yeah, like those guys are very big at 86, and that's a direct quote from Burroughs that him and I talked about years ago. He's like, those guys are really big at 86. I don't know if I would want to do that at all. 79 is basically the threshold for him competition wise. But I think it's going to be really interesting, right? Guys that we haven't seen, maybe they're taking a little bit of time off, like a Burroughs, like a Messenbrink. Like, we'll see them back in the fold at Olympic weights potentially next year. I think it'd be cool. Let's move into folk style. And it's the interview that's got everybody talking right now, or at least the last week or so, is David Taylor saying he's leaving a date open for Penn State. And again, I mean, as always, you have the two schools of thought of, this is awesome. David Taylor is putting it to Penn State for them to step up, this, that, and whatever, which I think is great. But then you also have people that are like, this isn't going to grow the sport. Like, why would you do that? Or like, I saw tweets of people saying that. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. I think this is awesome.
It's always good to know there's still idiots online.
Always will be.
Yeah.
Always will be. And some of them have the biggest megaphones at some point. But what do you guys think of this? Like, do you feel like this is a worthy call out? Do you feel like maybe he's a year or two away from being there? Or is this something that everybody is kind of clamoring about and they want to see? Robbie, what are your thoughts?
I think Kale's going to schedule whatever the hell he wants to schedule, and they kind of have it set. They've set it up the last few years where they have fewer and fewer duels, and it's a very particular way that he schedules things. But I think he does a good job, hitting teams that will actually help grow the sport, like Wyoming, like Oklahoma, like teams that can really use fans being brought in and that bump that they get from wrestling at Penn State. It's not going to change the attendance at Gallagher-Iba if Penn State goes down. It's not going to change the attendance at, I guess they probably do it at Bryce Jordan if Oklahoma State goes up. Like that would be an awesome duel, but I don't think it's something that's on Kale's radar, and I don't think he's too concerned about it. I think it's David pushing for his program and trying to get publicity, which he's done a really good job with since he's gotten down there, but I don't think it's anything to get in a hissy fit about like people have.
Launch?
Yeah, you got to talk your shit, got to have some fun with it. Why do we have microphones then, right? Like, why, and that this is surprising to anybody is kind of wild to me. It's like, he definitely seems like the type who would just love the idea of trying to compete against them. And why not? Because they're the best that you can possibly find. That is the best competition. And those sorts of dudes are always trying to find the best competition. What is it? Ric Flair said you had to beat the best to be the best, right? Like that's what his guys came to Oklahoma State to do, was to beat them. So
beat the man to be the man.
That's what it was. Yeah. So it's like, but that's the thing. It's like, I'm sure that's part of the recruiting process. It's like, look, I'm sure they're recruiting you too. You're a huge recruit. We're going to come here and we're going to restore things at Oklahoma State, and we're going to do it by beating them, whether it's in a dual meet or whether it's just, at NCAAs. But that's what that team's trying to do. He's never said anything contrary to that. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it'd be weird for him to be like, nah, we're good. We'll just avoid them, just like they're avoiding us, and we'll just wrestle everyone else. Like, anyone who expected him to say that is ridiculous too.
Yeah, you gotta think there's two schools of thought, right? The Penn State fans are saying, well, Kale's not going to change the way he schedules things because obviously it's been working. Look at Exhibit A and you see all the titles, right? And then you see the Oklahoma State fans, not all of them, but some are probably saying, Kale's afraid to wrestle David Taylor. He doesn't want to lose to his protege and lose recruits and blah, blah, blah. And, I think what David Taylor said kind of fits both of those. He wants to wrestle the best, to Claunch's point, and Penn State is the best. He wants to know whether they go there or they come here. We'll save a date for them. So I think, David saying that, putting it on Kale to, hey, you have my number, make the call, let's schedule a date. I think that kind of, gets people talking, obviously, but it kind of shows like, hey, I'm out there. I want to wrestle them. It's on, they don't really want to do it, which everyone that kind of knows the sport obviously understands that. We kind of knew that already, right? But I think it's fun for the sport, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. Coaches kind of call out coaches a little bit all the time. Kevin Dresser's done that in the past, with the orange comment, right? So you and I in Iowa are finally wrestling this year after how many years of us discussing it. So maybe that happens here in the future. I don't know.
Well, and they did wrestle, and I know it was not while David Taylor was there, but like that was one of the more notorious dual meets that we've ever seen. It was number one and number two at the time.
A lot of people saw it though.
Right. Yeah. Very few people did see it.
Thanks, Holmes. It was your fault.
but like that's the thing.
Watch that number go way up, and nobody was watching.
That was super cool. Like, I mean, not that part, but like the fact that so many people wanted to watch it, that it literally crashed everything. Like, is kind of an exciting thing for the sport. So
that $3 check we got back, that was exciting too.
Yep. Oh, there you go. But no, I think that
I took the rest of it.
There you go. I think that's like, I mean, again, they did wrestle, so that's fantastic. But then the other thing to remind everybody is, I feel like it was last season when everyone was like giving Penn State shit about not having a tough start to their schedule. And there was that excuse about like all our guys are on the world team, so like we got to give them a break to come back, which Robbie correctly called out as bullshit. But when they did eventually wrestle everyone, they did kick the crap out of everyone. Let's not forget that.
Turns out they're good.
So, it's fun to poke the bear until the bear eats your face. So, there's always that piece of it. It is possible that Kale's Penn State team would just kick the living crap out of them. But
didn't Kale just reset the record for longest dual meet win streak? And maybe he's afraid to lose that. He doesn't want to lose it to a guy like David Taylor, who he coached, right? I mean, obviously just pretty sarcastic, but yeah, it's like that's probably what people are thinking and saying, like, oh, he doesn't want to lose to his protege. Like, I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, he's not right now. Maybe a few years down the line, it could get interesting, but Penn State's, they broke their record last year at NCAAs. They're probably going to break it again this year because they're just getting better, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of unbelievable what they're doing.
So that's why they're not scheduling Central Michigan. I see. Bunch of cowards.
Exactly how it works. Exactly what it is. Casey Cunningham does not want to take a loss to his former team.
That's true.
I mean, it's obvious. I love creating the storylines. I mean, like I said, I was certainly part of that Penn State Oklahoma State matchup in Oklahoma, in Stillwater, way back when, and it was, I mean, the arena was electric. I was there. I was front row for that. I was front row for Oklahoma State, Iowa. Like, I've been in those arenas front row for a lot of dual meets, and I've seen what it means to those fan bases, specifically the Oklahoma State fan base, when you bring in an Iowa or a Penn State. I mean, you see what it looks like for them to bring in an Oklahoma, even though Oklahoma isn't nearly on the same level, right? So, like, it means a ton, and I feel like David Taylor is embodying the old school cowboy spirit, where he wants to wrestle everyone. Penn State is the best team out there. It's the same thing that John Smith used to do in wrestling Iowa back in the day, or Iowa State when they were, so damn good. Like, it's the same thing that coaches before him did. And I think, yes, Penn State, they're they've shown to be picky with their early season schedule. Certainly have. But like, I don't know, as the fan in me just wants to see this dual meet, whether it's next year or the year after. I want to see the dual meet, and I want to see how they match up head to head, even if Penn State just goes out and knocks the shit out of them, which could potentially happen. But like, I want to see this damn dual meet, and I think it'll be really, really good. And obviously, it'll be there's some be awesome matchups, and it will be on ESPN, guys. So like, don't think for 1 second that it would be on any other network but ESPN.
Stream would work.
What?
The stream would work.
Yeah, it would certainly work.
Yeah.
This would be on ESPN proper, just like some of the dual meets last year. There's no way that Oklahoma State wouldn't be pushing for that. They would certainly be making calls to their ESPN execs. Be like, this is happening, and it's happening right then and there. And that's the other thing is, say this matchup, say Kale is like, all right, you've got November 22nd on the calendar for us. Cool, we'll be there. Or cool, why don't you come to us? Why don't we do a home and home? Maybe, right?
If they want to
that
wrestle
happens,
a neutral site in Charlottesville, I'd be okay with it.
I mean, throw it at MSG. But like, let's be honest. If this does happen, this would be, at this point, it would certainly be the biggest dual meet that we've had in a very long time. Probably since they've wrestled all those years ago. And I'm telling you right now, I think that announcement would most likely happen on ESPN. They would pull some things to make this a Super Bowl and to make it amazing, right? So I don't know. I mean, I hope that it happens. I love that David Taylor is saying the right things from an Oklahoma State fan standpoint. He's definitely saying the right things of we're holding a date open for Penn State. So we'll see what happens. Kale just did that over 20-minute interview with Piles. So he's not shying away from media very much lately anymore. Who knows? Maybe he responds. They do have a very curated mix of media that is allowed to speak with those Penn State guys. I mean, obviously that's a little bit more during the season, but maybe he responds. Maybe he says something. Maybe they're on the phone and they're figuring it out. Maybe the date's already been figured out and there's going to be a very huge announcement during the football season where it happens. No matter what, it'd be really cool. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully it does happen. I love that David Taylor is talking about Penn State, kind of laying it out there on the table. So we'll see what happens.
It's just interesting too, David Taylor and Kale, how they're kind of the opposites in the way that they kind of allow access to their program. Like to your point, Holmes, we haven't seen Kale do a long interview in a while. He just did one with Piles, and David Taylor's always doing interviews, always kind of giving access to inside the room with Stilly boys out, that's inside and outside the room. And, Penn State, you don't really know what goes on in there. So it's just another example of how they're kind of polar opposites in that aspect about laying it all on the line. Here's everything you need to know. And Penn State's a little more sheltered to keep to themselves, unless it's a really need to know basis. Even then, sometimes it's still, kept pretty quiet there. But yeah, it's just interesting dynamic, the way those two are a little bit opposite.
For sure. Last thing we've got is Air Force has a new head coach. And I think this one was obviously the obvious pick. It's a little late in the game to do a full-on search, especially for Air Force to do a full-on search to get a new head coach. So Joe Johnston going to be their new head coach. I think it's a great fit. Had a chance to meet Joe years ago. I think before he was even at Air Force too, to be honest. But I he was a guy that you're like, I can see him being a head coach at some point. So seeing as he is now a head coach, it's not unsurprising, right? Like it's certainly a warranted level up for Joe Johnston. Great guy. I think he certainly deserves it. And I can't wait to see what he does at Air Force. Robbie, your thoughts on Joe Johnston getting elevated to head coach?
I mean, I think it was kind of inevitable, like you said, with academies, the hiring process is a little bit different, and he's certainly well qualified for it. They've had great success the last few years. I think their trajectory is going in a very positive direction. So I think he'll be some good new blood in there, revitalize the program a little bit, but keeping it steady with the experience he's already had there. I mean, like what we've seen with the Army hires and with Colott taking over at Navy, like it's always an adjustment with the academies because it's such a different environment. So I think having him already be kind of entrenched there is good.
Yeah, he's got the Sam Barber endorsement as well, as we see it's all in the article that they put out. Claunch, your thoughts?
Yeah, NCAA finalist for Iowa, wrestled, I think, Ryan Bertine in the finals. But yeah, obviously a guy who's been on staff, been around the program, kind of understands how things are working there. I don't think that you see Barber take that other move if he didn't know that he had another guy ready to take over that spot. But yeah, I mean, it's wild because it's like they're in an incredibly tough conference with incredibly tough teams. Like the Big 12 is had a serious resurgence over the last couple of years. So they're always going to get good competition there, and continue to grow. And yeah, I'm looking at their record last year. Yeah, it's great when you go and you wrestle Oklahoma State and you're going to go to the Cliff Keen and you're going to still wrestle Oklahoma, South Dakota State. Like it's a hell of a schedule that these guys get, but good for them. I'm excited for Joe. I'm excited for the program to continue to run with a lot of that momentum. It'd be tough if this was. It's almost weird to say that it would have been tough if they had done this 6 months ago and had to like really open up a search and that sort of thing. Like we saw the last couple searches this summer, and it took a while for some of those. So I think this is weirdly like the best way they could have done it so late.
Yeah,
Austin?
I think it's the correct move. Guy's been there for a while with Barber, and Barber steps down a little late in the game as like pretty much the freshmen were coming onto campus. So yeah, you go through the whole interview process. Just take some time, put the next guy in there, and I'm interested to see who they hire as an assistant to replace Johnston's spot. So should get interesting, and like you guys said too, Air Force Academy always just kind of maybe unappreciated, forgotten a little bit compared to Army Navy. Maybe it's just me living on the East Coast, but they're always in the mix. Big 12s always have some good guys and always fun to watch. They compete hard. So I think it's just obviously going to keep going and probably improve from here.
They had a finalist a bunch of years ago that lost to like Steve Mako. I remember like they always seem to have somebody who puts it together. I also like on Friday I was working and I was talking to this guy who was like a master gunnery sergeant in the Marines. And then we were just talking about the different branches of the military and all the trash talk that goes on between all the different branches. And he was like, don't even get me started about Air Force. It was just he was like, I don't even know what they do. Like all the Navy guys are the pilots. I'm like, I don't know either, man. They go wrestle for Oklahoma State. No, it's exciting. I'm excited for them. Excited for what they're gonna do.
Yeah, like I said, Johnson definitely deserves it. I think he's a great guy, great coach. I think just remembered I met him. I think he was still at Missouri when I met him. So yeah, awesome coach, and he deserves it. He's a tough, hard-nosed type of dude that I think brings a lot to the position. And as Austin said, looking forward to seeing what their search looks like for an assistant. I mean, obviously it's a lot easier to move forward with somebody in your head coaching position and continue to look for an assistant than it would be to not have somebody as a head coach and be searching right now. So, Joe Johnston, another head coach getting elevated. We'll certainly see how he does in his first season as the head coach and who they bring in hopefully the next couple of months to add to the staff.
They've got some sweet gear. I'm on their website right now looking at some hats. They've got Air Force Falcon Stars and Stripes with the rope.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I feel like they had some cool.
That's what happens when you're bald, Austin. You look at hats all the time.
Constantly. No joke. I probably have like 30 hats at least.
And a lot of hats.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I have a cowboy hat too. So
there you go.
I got a few. I
Required
just
to
really
live in
wear
Texas.
when I golf, so not that often.
Must be nice.
The golf, yeah. I wish I could do it more.
Well, gentlemen, that's everything we had to talk about. Wrestling season will be here before we know it. Football season is about to start. So we're about to see some really awesome highlights.
Oh, I
and
saw
a lot of recruiting trips is what's probably going to happen too. So we'll get a chance to see how people are being treated on sidelines and what they're doing as they go on recruiting trips. Because obviously the football season is always used as a recruiting trip when they've got the big game coming up. So we'll certainly see where some of these recruits are looking ahead.
I did see a tweet just popped up. They're adding a new match to the RAF card. It's Drew Carey against Luis Guzman. With it being in Cleveland, he's going to defend his home turf, and I guess Luis was talking shit. So,
This is not Jim Carrey.
Yeah, the price is wrong, bitch.
Oh man, awesome.
We could not see him in a singlet. That'd be cool.
That'd be very bad.
I'm gonna pass on that one.
Which one are you talking about?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good times.
That's exactly how we all feel about it. But no, that's all the show we got. Shout out to our sponsors, Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you're using those discount codes at checkout. If you guys ever want to get in contact with either one of our sponsors, reach out. We've got some contacts for you as well. If you're looking to get some team gear or some new equipment or anything else, and you're unable to get in contact with them, reach out to us. We're always happy to do that.
Or if you just want a direct line to them.
This is true. Makes it much easier for you. But yeah, shout out to our sponsors. We love them and we love you guys. Sorry, we took a little hiatus last week. I was off getting engaged and needed to recover from all the wine and steak that we ate while we were away last weekend. But as always, we love and appreciate you guys, and we'll see you again next week. Peace.